On abbey shores where shadows play, the alley whispers night and day. In abomination, alley's grip, where fear and danger tightly knit. Oh, the alley breathes a tale untold of secrets dark and hearts grown cold. Abbey streets, they'll pull you in to the depths where sin begins.
That was interesting. Hello, and welcome to Dire Bear. It's Tuesday night, so of course that means we're playing Abomination Alley, or BRP actual play. I'll be your storyteller for the evening, Jason. And with me as usual will be Carr playing Teak, Sarah playing Vivian, Eric playing Michael, Jeremy playing Salvador, and joining us will be Duba playing George Stone, Rappy playing Charlie O'Brien, and Patrick will be joining us shortly to reprise his role as Leo. Alright. Of the ones who were here last week, who remembers what happened?
We got
shot
curb
up our
stomped.
nightmares. Who's we? Who's what is this we stuff?
Vivian got hurt.
Yeah, but Salvador didn't.
No, he didn't. No, we'll get to that here in a little bit, but
So yes, big
he
fat
got a triple
slaughterhouse.
kill.
Mm-hmm.
Teak was just still killing everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looks about dead. Poop.
Hey now.
Now we wait. Oh, he looks about dead. Poop.
Dice rolls and all that.
Mm-hmm.
You shoot at the things that are the most threatening at that time.
That happened
yeah.
to be bleeding out.
But several of you got kind of the rough end of it.
Yep.
You're fighting against these sort of animal men. Out of strange folk. I'd say history, but after 1,000 years of wandering on Earth, they had become more or less legend. These creatures called the Brew.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them were human sized. There was one larger one that was like buffalo headed. It
Every
had
time I hear
size to go
brewer, I
along
want
with
to
it.
go. I just want to go brew ha ha.
Boo ha ha.
But
Unfortunately, there's nothing funny about the Brew showing up.
yeah, I
No,
know.
it's not.
But you
I know,
successfully
there's
killed
not.
all but two of them, or at least two of them that you saw.
Yes.
They fled off somewhere into the city. Y'all were too beat up to bother pursuing at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I know Salvador was pretty badly hurt, wasn't he?
Salvador, no.
I was
No,
very badly
that's
hurt.
right. It was Leo that
It
was.
Leo that was badly hurt.
Also, Michael was 1 point away from getting hit with a major wound.
As was I.
But he didn't. And he didn't.
Yeah, that's true.
However, one of your policeman friends did.
Yes.
Yeah.
He got a leg pretty badly mangled.
The detective.
I think the leg came straight off.
No, that was
No, it would have to be amputated, but not amputated immediately.
I was
Or
thinking
that work on it.
the detective got hurt bad. I was thinking it was Jacob
Yeah,
that
the
actually
te-
took the
The
shot to his
detective
leg.
got hurt back. It was Jacob that took the major wound, and we rolled for
Yeah.
it. And I think the roll said that he
Now expands
it
to
lost
loss
a
of
limb.
one or both arms or legs.
Yeah.
But he is specifically a non-combatant.
Mhm.
So, and to fill in Duba and Rappy, campaign started at a New Year's Eve party. So technically, the game started the last few hours of 1924. Some kids came running in, talking about basically they had found a body, they knew who it was. Local detective named Mickey. The last member of a group called the Beorn. And Beorn it's Old English. It originally meant something like bear, but it became to be known as like men of valor or heroes or that sort of thing. And it's kind of a strange folk tradition. Kind of like if you took a neighborhood watch and like your ideal of a D&D adventuring party and kind of put them together. You know, they don't wander the countryside generally, but the strange folk of any given city or area will come to them for help. Because you can very rarely trust, human law enforcement.
Wasn't Mickey human?
Mickey was.
Okay.
And he was the last
Okay,
member of that
awesome.
last group.
I'll send him flowers.
Some of his group had died. Some of them had just kind of retired out. But with his death that night, the oldest person in the city, known to most folks as Auntie Jen. She's a 200-ish-year-old elf. So about as old as they get. She was a child during like the Revolutionary War. So actually a bit under 200, but still quite old. But she took some folks out, found the body, left 2 people behind to guard the body, came back, and began making everybody draw runes out of a bag. If you pulled they were little stones with a rune etched on them. If you drew a black stone, then you were chosen. Of course, everybody of course, all the players drew a black stone. But Jen was convinced there should have been 2 more members.
That's what we call foreshadowing.
But she had left 2 people behind to watch the body. So George and Charlie, that's how y'all's New Year's went. You were at a party, big kind of street party. A bunch of stores were open, letting people in. A bunch of community center kind of places. There was lots of alcohol flowing, despite the fact that alcohol is not illegal. But the human authorities weren't exactly wandering around looking for stuff. Good. George, it was. You could tell it was going to be a good night for the Brewers Guild. We'll get to that when we introduce your characters. So George and Charlie, you had gone out with just this random assortment of folk that you probably didn't know. You stayed with the body while the rest of them took Annie Jen back because It's New Year's Eve on Lake Superior. It's quite cold. So they did take Aunt Jen back to get her inside, left you with the body. You know, the police eventually showed up. You gave a report. You went home for the night. At this point, Duba, why don't you tell us a little bit about George Stone? Who is George Stone?
Excuse me. Good old George Stone. He's your good old stereotypical dwarf. Tends to keep to himself, but you know he works with the Brewers Guild. He helps them in creating different brews that of the nature. Tends to donate a portion of his crops in order to do so. And of course, learning this knowledge, he's taking the time to also take a small portion of said crops that he grows on his farm to do it himself at home, as it were.
All right. So you work with the Brewers Guild, but you're not necessarily a member. Or are
No,
you
he's
actually a
not.
member? Okay.
Oh no, I'd say he is a member. So he's probably got some legal paperwork to allow him to do official
Well, it's
brewing.
not legal exactly. Remember, prohibition.
Ah,
The Dwarven Brewers
prohibition. Yeah.
Guild is an organized crime group.
Ah, fair enough.
Probably the most tolerated one in the city because they don't do
were-
racketeering. They are strictly bootleggers. It's dwarves. They were not going to take prohibition well.
No.
And
By
basically,
saying
the
drink.
Italians tried to screw them over, and they didn't want to work with the orcs, so it was they kind of had to do their own thing. Those
Oh,
being
yeah.
the other two big mobs in town. But where the Italian mob mostly brings in booze from out of country. There have been enough poisonings from bootleggers in the states that it had something of a reputation. So it was just classier to get your booze from out of the country.
Bathtub gin.
Yeah. So of course, any big city close to the Canadian border, they're going to have a lot more alcohol coming through than necessarily they need for selling in the city. But the Brewers Guild, however, makes theirs local, and they make their own. But if people know it's Dwarven made, they tend to trust it more.
Look, we might be bootleggers. However, we do have standards.
You're still craftsmen. All right, Rappy. How about you tell us a little bit about Charlie O'Brien?
Charlie's elf, kind of young, kind of the rest of the group of elves apparently. She was a nurse during the war and just kind of now got up to being a doctor per se, working underneath other doctors to get better at her craft.
Okay. So you more than likely you work at one of the local hospitals, probably.
Yes.
Being an elf, probably one of the smaller hospitals down in a part of town that's predominantly strange folk. Has she lived in the city her whole life, or did she come here after the war?
Came in after the war.
Okay.
He's still the only local.
Vivian's local.
Yeah, Vivian's local. Though she had moved
I
off
just
for a while
meant-
to come back.
I just mean the only one who stayed in the city the longest.
He has
Also
all
the
the
shortest
lore.
life.
Look, man, they needed people on the front. I had to leave home.
Is George
God, that's terrifying.
Duba, is George a local
Yes.
boy?
George is a local boy, but again, when the Great War happened and bodies or volunteers were needed, he went to the front for a little
Man,
while.
they needed you guys out there too.
Look, I
Well,
can
when I-
only imagine how terrifying it would be to have a dwarf in the trenches with a trench gun, just bum rushing through, shotgun just going.
Dwarves dug a lot of the trenches.
Oh yeah, good old
And
engineering, baby.
probably some of the actual miners they used. And by that I mean they would dig tunnels, pack them full of explosives under the other enemy's trenches, then blow them up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sappers.
Good times.
Yes, the great boom that actually made Europe think that, oh dear God, what was that?
Yeah, that was.
So yeah, dwarves have been in great demand during the war. Particularly since dwarves tended to arrive, when they arrived, or tended to arrive in like Scandinavia and kind of the Germanic areas. So the Kaiser had plenty working for him as well. But all right. And I assume that George owns a farm just outside the city, correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right. We'll probably hammer out exactly where later. It's not important right now. So that all happened. There was that. The rest of the group investigated Mickey's death. Eventually, figuring out what he was investigating, tracking it down to that slaughterhouse, going to the police for help, and then the big fight. Getting there, discovering the brew existed. And getting so beat up that for some of them it may have taken them most of the past month to get to heal up. It is now February. George, you're bringing in let's see, what would bring a farmer into town during the winter? What do you think, George? What might you be needing? More tubing for your steel? Do you have a new brew you want to, have the guys check out?
Yeah, probably a new type of brew he's probably had going for, I'd say let's say a couple years now. It's been kind of fermenting, and he's like, it seems to be tasting okay at this point. Let's take a little sample, see what the guild thinks in terms of taste, flavor, and potential profit.
All right. So you head in. There's a little. Basically, it's the front is basically a pawn shop. So, pawn shop / like little repair shop. The dwarf behind the counter, he'll buy things. He'll buy broken stuff if he thinks he can fix it and tinker it and put it up. Tinker with it and put it up for sale, or he'll just let people pawn stuff. But you go down into his basement, and there's been a not legally licensed tunnel created over to the next building, which is where the guild is based.
Honestly, I'm really imagining George just kind of walking in and the other dwarf looking at him as if like, oh, what you got to sell? And he just like has a Saint Bernard little barrel in his hand with like their symbol kind of on it, and smiles at him. He's like, and that just so he knows, like, oh, I know what you're here for.
Yep.
Just
and
just
he
the thought of
recognizes
that tiny
you. He probably
barrel.
recognizes you on sight. This is not the first time you've been here.
Oh yeah.
But you got one or two people perusing, but they're not paying any attention to you walking in. So he just sort of nods to the door behind him. It leads, it leads to the back end of the shop and the stairs down to the basement. You get into the other building. they got a guard on the door. He recognizes you, lets you in. Tells you where Mason is. Who is the guy you'd go talk to about this? He's not the head of the guild, but he's kind of the head of operations. In this building. He's as high up as going to talk to the average worker, unless there's a big problem.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, you walk up to his office. He's got his name on the door, Mason Wolf. He's a dwarf, of course. Pretty much everybody in the guild's dwarves. They'll occasionally use non-dwarven drivers, just to be a little less obvious, or non-dwarfs to like unload stuff. Again, just so it's not super obvious. But all the real members are dwarven. So you walk in, Mason looks up at you. George, what brings you into town? I don't think we were expecting another shipment from you yet. Well, not this time of year.
No, nothing yet. Though, he like holds up his like little cask, like, I have a little brew going. Why don't you sample it? Tell me what you think.
He turns
It's
around,
been going.
grabs a cup.
Been working on this for about 2 years now.
He starts quizzing you about what it is. Is it an ale? Is it a whiskey? Traditionally, dwarves are big on ales and beers, but 1,000 years of wandering around on Earth, they've spread out quite a bit.
He kind of starts going over the little bit of nitty gritty, but mainly just explaining to him like, right. Well, to be fair, I've been trying something a little different. I believe it's what they call mead. It's been for fermented honey. I've been doing a little bit of also different berries. I think this batch here should be elderberry mixed in with it to give a little bit of bitter taste to offset the sweet.
It sounds interesting. Like I said, he slaps the cup down. Let you pour him in a little bit. He sniffs it first, does kind of put some in his mouth, sort of.
Trying to see if he can pick up the flavors or hints.
Just for fun, and to let you make your first die roll, do you have a brewing skill?
That's a good question.
I think we talked about this, and you did.
Yeah.
Under crafting, I think.
Yes, brewing, I do.
All right, give me a roll on that. Why can I
Just hit the D20, see what happens.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeet.
Oh.
He's
What? Really?
not
Welcome to my life.
impressed. He just sort of puckers up. 2 years, you say? Well,
It's not sealed in.
it's interesting. I'll give you that. The ideal isn't bad. Have you tested this batch? Have you tried this batch? He sort of pushes the cup over to you.
And he's like, well, to be fair, didn't seem bad when I had tried it before. I got you a little taste sample, but let me double check it. So he takes it, does the same thing, kind of smells it, takes a shot of it, sloshes around a little bit, trying to pick up the aromas.
Something a little off.
Kind of noticed that. It's like, oh, right. Alright, well, I was hoping it'd be ready, but I guess it's going to need a little bit more time.
Yeah, it needs a little something.
I'll experiment, see if what I can add to flavor-wise. But for the most part, don't worry. Still got me stills going. So I still have your regular shipments.
Oh, and it's like he's getting them kind of ushering you to the door, because But before you leave, though, he's like, "Oh, I almost forgot. Auntie Jen was asking for you. And you not living directly in town, but close by, interacting with town. You've probably heard that name before. And you were at the New Year's Eve celebration. Now, granted, you might have been working more so than just celebrating, either making deliveries or maybe even acting as bartender. If George is interested in that sort of thing. But so,
I mean, if he's at festivities, he wouldn't mind, handling like, oh wait, everybody wants a drink. Hold on, I got you.
But you remember Auntie Jen was this old elf lady that had, gathered up a group of people that went out and found Mickey's body. But apparently she'd gotten word to the guild that she needed to speak with you, the next time you were in town. And he hands you like a little scrap of paper that, once he digs over under his desk and finds it, scrap of paper with her address on it. Clearly it's up to you if you go talk to her or not.
I'm here in town. Probably won't be back for a hot minute, so it won't hurt. See what they need.
Oh, I just noticed we had somebody in the chat.
Oh,
I think they're staring at us.
I mean, so am I.
So, back out through, out the pawn shop. Charlie.
Mhm.
So you had New Year's Eve off, and all the shenanigans that went down. But the next day you were back at the hospital. Been working extra shifts. In fact, you're there a couple of days later when they bring in a local police officer, Jacob Hendelson. He'd taken an arrow to the knee. As soon as you saw that in some of the reports, it caught your attention because that's how that detective fellow was murdered that night. He'd taken an arrow to the back. Over the course of the next couple of days, they have to amputate that leg. It became infected almost immediately. They eventually figure out that the arrow itself was basically you wouldn't call it poison because they didn't use. It's like it had been soaked in slaughterhouse runoff. It takes you a while to get the whole story, but yeah, apparently this was a fight at a slaughterhouse. Nasty part of town, Brown's Mill. It's an area of town, poor area of town, where they put a lot of slaughterhouses and paper mills and stuff like that. And most of those places dump their runoff into the same creek that then runs out to the lake.
Okay.
It's a shame. He was real young. Hadn't even been an officer all that long. And somewhere in there, you have gotten a letter from Auntie Jen saying she needs to talk to you. You being an elf, You know, even having only come here after the war, you've still been here for years. Annie Jen's, she's not an important person, like she's a political wheeler and dealer type. But she's kind of a big deal in the elf community because she's so much older than, so much older than most folks. And she's said to know things. People know she dabbles with the runes, though not really to what degree. In her younger days, she would act as a midwife a lot of times. Human doctors not always being comfortable working with strange folk. It's less of a problem in this city because there's just so many that, hospitals want that money.
Yeah.
But you've got a letter that she would like to speak with you, but you've been so busy you really haven't had a chance to swing by. Now let's jump over to somebody else, and we'll find out what the rest of the guys have been doing in this downtime. We'll start with Teak because I don't think Teak was hurt.
Teak was not hurt.
So Teak's had a month. What has Teak been doing?
Teak has been brushing up on his driving, his shooting, and potentially buying a second pistol.
Okay.
Along while checking on the others.
Salvador would, as the person that probably has the most training in firearms, offer to train people.
Okay.
I know that's a role in the game, but
that's probably who he trained with the weapons.
All right, what is your weapon skill, Salvador?
75. So 78 for rifle, 75 for pistol.
Okay.
I believe it has to be above 50.
Teak's score is a 52 in pistol.
Okay, so yeah, Salvador can teach you for sure.
Because I did look into it. In order to train somebody, it has to be 75 or higher.
Okay.
Oh, I thought it had to be 50 something. Oh, okay.
No, it's 75% or higher to get training from somebody.
Yeah, Salvador is guns. He's very good at. He's very very practiced at them.
I mean, you did pull like 3 of them off your back.
Well, during the war, Leo did a lot of carrying bodies around. Salvador just did a lot of planting bodies.
Yeah, correct. Look, the first roll of combat that everyone was scared of was a crit. Is all I'm saying. But yes, he is more than willing to help train, or at least get like a little bit up there.
Yeah, so Teak will train under him, and then as far as the driving skill, I'd assume he'd go back to his old contacts to get them to teach him a bit more.
And who are your old contacts?
The Orc Mob. Nobody else knows it, because Teak ain't saying shit.
So if I remember correctly, and feel free to interject here, Teak used to drive for the mob some.
Yes,
but it's
Teak
not really something he does
driver
anymore.
Nope.
But he parted on good terms with him, so nobody's gunning for him or thinks any ill of him.
We thought you died. Ah, shit.
So you go talk to an orc named Mullen. You don't know if that's his first name. You don't know if that's his last name. That's all you've ever heard anybody call him is just Mullen.
Mullen.
But in his spare time, he hot rods cars. Is involved in illegal racing. Well, racing is probably not as illegal as the gambling on the racing. But, and you've done him a favor or two, so hey, you want to refresh your course. He's fine with it. Now let me see. Where is the training roll?
It's probably
Yeah,
teach.
and I didn't know if how purchasing another gun would work because we don't really have money. It's just average.
Yeah.
All right. So what is your resource level then?
My wealth is average.
Okay. If you look up in the gun charts, I believe there is I believe there's a list of the resources you have.
There is a list on the side. Yeah. Let me get back to where value average. So
So you don't have
if
any
if
gold.
yeah, I'm probably going to get the same style of pistol that I have. So another light pistol.
All right. So we're going to start off with Salvador giving me a teach roll.
Oh boy, this is gonna. I
Uh,
think Salvador like does all of this is just like with the, and he's like, now, not the best teacher in the world, but I know how to do it, so that's got to count for something, right?
Hang on a second. System notes. To teach a particular skill, the teacher must have the student's skill rating or a skill rating of 50%, whichever is lower. See skill training on 1.9. Let me go look at the skill training thing. That may be.
Roll teach. Success! Woo!
Be glad you succeeded on that.
No, I know.
Yeah, you can lose skill by teaching
Yes.
poorly. But all right, be sure to check it because that was a successful
Yep.
use.
Look, you got to start somewhere with these skills. They can't all be my specialty.
Let's see. This character can belong to another player, but is usually non-player. Each skill takes a different sort of teacher and costs different amounts of time and money to learn.
I think the first thing Salvador goes, it's like, first things first, that weapon is way too big for you.
It's like what? It's still
Oh,
light
I thought.
pistol.
Oh, okay. I thought you were.
He doesn't have a.
I thought you had like a heavy pistol for some reason.
I had accidentally put the ammo count for the heavy pistol, but I was using a light pistol. So I was, yeah.
Okay.
I had to adjust. I had to adjust my ammo count.
Okay, never mind then, because I would have been like, I thought you were like rolling up with like a Desert Eagle or something. I was like, man, I don't even have that.
As hilarious as it would be to see T go bang, go through the wall.
No, he
would know his limits.
He has to position himself between two enemies, so he shoots one of them and he's flung into the other one.
Has an elbow out.
Exactly.
No, that's
it's okay.
That's how Teak has a double jump. He just runs, fires the gun at the ground, and goes skyward.
Oh, like
I am totally
expecting where you're a
expecting
squirrel with a gun.
Yes.
I'm totally expecting someone to do the kobold yeet and just throw freaking Teak somewhere.
We'll get there at some point.
Oh yeah, no, it's like, hey, you could go over the fence, Teak. Oh god, whee!
I mean, I'm pretty positive this little dwarf can still throw a good fastball.
Yeah.
Let's not play Yeet the Kobold, please.
All right. So, I was just making sure that Teak didn't have to roll anything. He does not, because the teach roll was the important one.
Mm-hmm.
So roll. Your skill rating improves by 1d6 points. So roll a d6, Teak.
Woo!
3.
Your skill goes up by 3%.
That's perfectly average.
Yay! 55% now.
Woo!
All right. I am going to roll. I realized I put my GM screen somewhere. One moment.
Wah, 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 wah.
Since Mullen did not exist 5 minutes ago, I don't have his stats typed into the computer or anything. So I need the success chart. All right, this is the guy that initially taught you. He teaches most of the drivers for the orcs. So he's going to have a decent teach skill.
No one expects a kobold driver.
Let's see. That was just barely a success. All right. Roll a d6 for your drive.
Yeah.
Nice.
Got a 6.
And, you know, you have to pay him for his time and all that, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's not anything too taxing. And, you know, it's more than just like one day out of the track or something. This is... You're going a couple times
Like
a
he
week
probably
during the month.
spends a week or something like that there.
You know, same with Salvador teaching you. This is an extended something.
Yep.
What does Michael Anderson do in his downtime?
Well, because I made the rolls for it, it takes all 4 weeks for him to heal.
Okay. So he can't do
So
anything physically exerting.
Yeah, so mostly, I put it in our Tuesday chat. So mostly he's like healing from the comfort of home and working on doing some research and catching up on just his work. Mechanically, he wants to work on getting better handle on his other psychic power, his aura detection, and trying to get his like power, like actual stat increased by basically straining himself.
All right. So that is he's basically
respond.
Do it now.
Roll 20, stop responding. Apparently.
Oh, probably need to reload it.
Yeah. Like I loaded up the character sheet and it went nope.
But all right. Here it is. Your character must train for hours equal to their current skill rank in that skill.
Mm-hmm.
An average character has 50 hours of time per week available for training. So yeah, you're not doing a whole. So Teak is not doing a whole lot more than training. Well, that'd be a week, basically a week apiece. So
yeah.
Now, as far
okay,
as
webpage.
The second method is research working alone. All right. So how is Michael planning to push himself on this aura thing?
He's literally doing mental push-ups.
There we go. Okay. Well, for training the power itself, it's just using it. Basically, just trying to get a better handle on it.
All right. And what does I have not looked at the aura reading? Is that like a detect unusual sort
That's
of
not
stuff?
the button I wanted to hit.
Huh. You succeeded on it.
I apparently succeeded. But that's not the button I meant to hit.
Well, write it down.
Yeah. It's not letting me like just pull up the just hit the button to show you the power itself. Oh well, I'll just copy paste.
Yeah, copy paste is probably gonna work better.
There.
Page 72 of the main rulebook. All right. Okay. Okay, so that's not something where you necessarily have to have something supernatural, right? You can just do that to regular people.
Yeah.
So you spend a lot of time out in public, you know,
Mhm.
taking leisurely walks, sitting on benches or inside stores, you know. Again, you can't strain yourself. And in fact, Dorothy, I believe that was her name, wasn't it? Yes. Your secretary Dorothy is actually quite insistent that you don't, you know, stress yourself. She's rather upset that you ran out and got yourself hurt.
Yep.
You know, you're a lawyer. You shouldn't be out fighting monsters.
Yeah, that's what I told them too.
Now, what roll do you have to make for that?
Well, I apparently succeeded on my power.
The MS should just judge whether the resources are adequate for training oneself, and in some cases, may rule that a skill cannot be trained alone. I don't think that's a problem with your ability, though.
But basically, the idea was kind of like how one trains physical ability.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to like push his like power stat threshold basically to the limit, to where basically he's like at 1, so he doesn't like fall unconscious. Kind of like strain it to try to basically strengthen his
I get
power.
that. So yeah, you spend, you know, 50 hours probably spread out over at least 2 weeks. Given that you're physically recovering, so even just, you know, even just getting up and walking, you know, casually walking around that much to be around people.
Oh, I figured he absolutely had like a broken rib or two, considering he got crit.
Given the severity,
Yeah.
It causes quite a commotion in the DA's office.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, this is not kept quiet. The city is abuzz about the fact that, you know, there were monsters.
Mm-hmm.
There are plenty of bodies.
Yep.
Yep.
Everybody knows the young elf officer lost his leg. The detective caught some sort of infection and was at death's door. For essentially most of this time, it's you know, the detective is just now about to be discharged from the hospital.
Yeah.
You know, still kind of weak, still going to have some time off, but so yeah, the papers are all abuzz about it.
Mm.
And the fact that these things spread disease, so now people are worried that you're gonna have some kind of sickness pop up in town. The human population is, of course, you know, kind of blaming it on the strange folk.
Naturally.
Look,
But since it hasn't really affected them yet, it's just a kind of a low rumbling at the moment.
Yeah.
But yes, we will accept that aura roll or detection roll you made as your roll to see if you successfully. Oh no, wait, because it's No, that's right. In training, you actually want to succeed in the roll. It's not the other way around. So go ahead and add a d6 to that.
3.
Okay.
Respectable.
Perfectly respectable. Leo, what are you spending your downtime doing? I mean, mostly healing, I imagine.
Yeah. Healing up, Oh, well, side, I'm also checking in on the detective, just making sure he's okay.
Okay.
And one of the things I'm going to try to do, in a way, is to both, again, improve my my mystical healing abilities
Alright.
on top of actually
How much healing did you have to do? Because there's rolls for the healing,
I was
and you were pretty banged up if I recall correctly.
Yeah, I have a total of 24, and I was down to 8.
All right.
Make them roll.
I think it's a D6 a week or D4 a week.
It's D. I made a whole bunch of rolls. Hold on. Scroll up. D. Well, with the
D3s.
doubled, it's D6.
Yeah, we were doubling the dice because I had double y'all's hit points.
Yeah. Okay, that's 5.
All right.
So we'll do 13 now. Going down a bit, but now that's a 4.
All right. I think you've got 16 points you need to heal back.
Well, I started at 8, so that was 9 right there.
Okay.
No, back in the box.
And this is
2.
one roll per week, correct?
Yes, it's once per week.
Okay.
So you only get 4 rolls.
All right, so 2 more rolls.
All right. 3.
Let's get you 12.
Okay, so far I've rolled a 5, a 4, a 2.
Go for a 1. Go for a 1.
And a 3.
All right. So 15. So you're about back to normal. You're still sore. You're down by 1 point is noticeable, but not too bad noticeable.
Yeah.
But when you're physically healing, you can't do any training that requires too much physical.
Because this is one thing I was also, this is much training, but attempting to use my actual magical healing during my healing process. How would that work out?
Let's look up. Let's see. That would be the magic.
Because
book.
essentially I have to exchange I think it's 2 power points per HP, I believe.
Is it just called healing? What was that ability called?
It's literally just heal.
Okay.
It's a touch instant. It costs 2. Spend 2 power to heal 1 HP. So it's not good for like cleric healing, but it's good for getting people back up.
Alright, heal. This spell repairs damage done to hit points. For creatures of the caster species, heal replaces 1 hit point for each point of heal spell used.
Okay, so that's...
And it goes into body parts, but that's not something we affect. The effect is immediate. Creatures of a species other than the casters cost 2 points of healing per hit point repaired.
Okay, so that's... So it's 2 for orcs, 1 for... 2. It's 1 for orc, 2 for everybody else.
Correct. But of course you have to roll the spell to see if it actually works.
Let's see. Sighting C. Oh, where's I was literally just there. And there it is. And for the new arrivals, I'm rolling in a box because, dear lord, the dice roller hates me.
It hates all of us.
I don't know. I remember y'all getting some crits. Of course, I remember dealing out some crits as well. But
So that was a. Well, apparently these dice like me, because that was a 1.
Very good. All right, and then the amount of points you spend depends on what you want healed.
So if we're considering I was only 1 away, I could just spend 1 power point and get back up to full.
Yeah, okay, so you're full up.
Yeah. And check that. Down.
All right.
That's what I need.
So yeah, so you spend a lot of bed rest, a lot of real light exercise, like walking around kind of stuff, but nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing too straining. Vivian, what were you up to in your downtime?
Rolled my healing. It takes her 2 weeks because she
Okay.
got shot with the arrow.
I believe she made the roll to resist disease, though. I mean, you probably didn't know what it was I had you rolling. But...
Yeah, I think I failed that.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah.
And can I make medical? Considering I was there, can I also make medical checks just to make sure the people I could tell got infected, or what is saying?
Well, it
I
wouldn't have been
wouldn't
something
know?
that would have been immediately noticeable. It doesn't
Obvious.
happen. It doesn't
Gotcha.
happen that quickly. It wasn't magical
Gotcha.
infection. It was just
Yeah, you checked the officers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so that gives her some time to wander around doing stuff.
Yep.
I know you had a
It's going to.
checklist.
Yep, I'm going back up. She's first going to go find a bookstore that may carry both strange folk books and human books, if such a thing is possible, or go to a human bookstore and a strange folk bookstore if she needs to.
You can find both. Though strange folk bookstore just means they focus a lot on strange folk writers.
They would
If you're
probably
looking
have
for
stuff
magic
about.
and the occult, it's a little. I mean, some of those same places may have stuff hidden in the back or whatever. But
She's looking more for like mythology, lore, stuff that most strange folk would know, like Grimm's fairy tales for strange folk.
okay, yeah, regular any old bookstore could
Yeah.
potentially have that.
Like stuff that, because all the strange folk knew about the brew.
Yeah, that's a commonly
So she's
told
finding,
story.
she's finding like a book that would have those kind of myths.
Okay. Give me
I, as human, is ignorant.
She's trying to keep
Yeah.
everyone on an even playing field.
doesn't want to do. Really, it's just she doesn't want to. Her pride won't let her depend on the human for knowledge about her own people.
She'll find that.
Let's see. That would be bargain. What would be a perusing shopping skill? Search. Is there a
Search. There is a
I know there's
spot. I think we said spot was that anything visual. What was the other one?
Yeah.
Sense was the.
Sense was everything
senses.
else. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds right. I was just making sure there was not. There's so many skills. I can't remember which ones are.
And I mean, if she doesn't spot it, she would just ask for help from someone at the counter. But I'll roll it.
Yeah.
She just asked for help at the counter.
You get some books on strange folk fairy tales.
Okay. And she'll just tuck those away. She's just making like a round, like all in probably like a day or so. She picks up some like elvish comfort food. I think I looked it up last week. It kind of looks like the carnival elephant ears.
Okay.
Except smaller. Takes those to Jacob, checks in on him.
So yeah, you go to the hospital.
Just the food, not the books.
Yeah. When you get there, he's staring out the window. He greets you. He's, By the time you swing by, they've removed the leg, so he's missing his leg from just above the knee. When you show him the food, he thanks you, you set it aside, but he doesn't show any real interest in the food.
In Elvish, chin up.
He just sort of looks at you.
You didn't die. Figured out what was going on. With the war, they've made great strides in prosthetics. You're only going to go as far as you let yourself go.
Yeah, that's what the doctors and nurses keep telling me.
I come from a long line of people that will annoy you until you do what you're supposed to do. Do I have to do that to you?
I'd rather you didn't.
Don't give me a reason to then.
Look, I will get up. I'll be walking around, but I can't go back.
It is
to the,
disheartening.
They're not going to let me go back to the forest like this.
No.
And I haven't
Doesn't
been
mean
there
it's
long
the
enough. I haven't been there long enough to have a pension or anything.
If you need assistance of any sort, reach out. Until you get back up on your foot.
The look on his face tells you that was too soon for that.
She probably realizes that afterwards, but she shrugs and be like, you have to own it. Gives him a little bit of a pat on the shoulder. I'll be back to check in again. And she'll probably check in like throughout the month just to... She figures probably not a lot of people from the force checking up on him.
Be back to check in again. That is a threat.
You will be oh god, checked up on. I can't think of a good one. It basically is a threat.
Give me a charisma roll.
Or appearance, I think that's what it's trained to.
Yeah.
Yeah, the roll is
normal.
Is charisma. That was a really bad joke to make to somebody that just lost a leg. Yeah, go ahead and give it to me.
I have fast talking.
Because since you have multiple visits.
Success.
All right.
Yeah.
You are eventually able to cheer him up to some degree. And he doesn't come out of the experience so annoyed with you that he just doesn't want to see you again.
She'll like ask him every time she comes, do you want me to bring you something? Do you want a book?
And by the time they let him out, he's acting a little more normal. You do find other members of the force there periodically when you come by. Keep in mind there was a fair number of strange folk in that precinct because that was the one.
Yeah.
In their area. You don't see the detective there because he's actually
human.
Sick wise, he's actually worse off, so he's not in condition to come visit yet. But you do run into a human lady coming out, and when you ask him, it was the detective's wife had come by. Bring her husband's regards. Also bring some food.
How's the detective doing?
And also, do we know if the detective...
Just a minute, Patrick. By the end of the month, he's been released from the hospital. He's still a little puny, because he's been sick and bedridden for a while. So he's got some more time off, but he's expected to make a full recovery. He's just got to go home and get his strength back.
Excellent.
What was that? Now, what was that, Patrick?
I was gonna ask, do we know if the detective actually is married? See if there was a plot point that we weren't catching up on.
If you became suspicious that whether or not he had a wife,
you could have looked at his hand.
Then you could have, checked on it.
Okay.
At any point, looked at his hand.
All right.
Well, I don't know. He was wearing gloves when y'all were dealing with him because it's cold outside.
Man.
But
little bulge in this finger.
But
after visiting with Jacob and stuff, but she'll make sure to check in on Teak because, actually, she'll check in on Michael first because then she can get the address for Teak's where Teak works from there. She'll drop off the books at Michael's.
Okay. So you run by there. Dorothy answers the door at his place.
Just smiles. Just dropping off some books. Something he may be interested in.
She invites you in. Look, she glances at the titles. What titles are they? You can just tell me what they're about. You don't have to give me a specific.
Just basic. Like I said, Grimm's fairy tales for strange folks, stuff like that. Myth and lore of strange folks.
Myths of the Forgotten World, that sort of thing. Okay.
Yeah. A brief collection of half-spun tales or something. Like a bestiary of various monsters.
You're not going to take him out monster hunting again, are you?
No, but he needs to be as knowledgeable as us.
That sounds like you expect to go hunting monsters again. But she walks over and puts it on his desk. She told you when she let you in that he's not here right now. He's been spending as much time as he can out, I don't know, gallivanting. He says he needs to walk, a little bit of exercise.
He does like walking.
Apparently he's doing a lot of people watching.
That checks out. That
Like really
sounds
staring.
like
It's
something.
weird.
It's not too. Yes, very weird. Very weird.
So, how scary were the monsters, really? I mean, I've seen pictures of the goat-headed ones. But...
She's probably looked through the books when she picked them up. She'll just flip them open to one of the pages with the brew and be like, that's basically what we fought.
And it's a picture that shows a variety of brew because they come in different animal forms. If their world had, kobolds and fairies and elves and, different peoples than we had here, what are all the animals recognizable? I mean, that's a goat head, that's a gazelle head.
Maybe it was called something other than a goat and we just forgot it. Or maybe when we came over here, they started looking like goats because that's what was here.
Maybe. She's still holding She's still holding the book that you flipped over to her when she escorts you back to the door eventually. Oh, and if you needed Teek's address, she could probably dig through Michael's notes to find that for you. She is his secretary.
Yeah, she would just ask, like, the mechanic that works on his vehicle, he said that he had an address for him. I was just wondering if you may have it.
Yeah, she goes and digs it out. Probably has to ask you the name because I don't know if she would remember Teek's name or not. I can't remember if she spoke directly.
Teek.
I can't remember if she spoke directly to Teek that first night or not.
I think she did.
She would have at least, yeah. I think she did.
Okay. In that case, she remembers.
But I don't. I can't remember if it was like in passing or not, or if Mr. Barkley took all the. Oh my God, he's so cute.
That's fair. That is quite fair. All right, so you don't have any trouble tracking Teek down.
Yeah, she'll just check in on Teek. He's the only other address, or that she could get easy access to. We'll have brought snacks for him as well. She's not sure what kobolds eat, but everyone loves cookies.
Everyone in the shop giving him shit because this very pretty elf is now talking to him.
And it is at his shop if you manage to find him, because even amongst his training and stuff, he still has to go to work.
Yeah, anyone
hooting and hollering.
Anyone gives him shit about being a sewer rat, she will verbally eviscerate them.
The folks at the shop aren't bad about that. In fact, Carr, tell us about the shop a little bit. What kind of folks
tell us about the shop
other than you?
I don't know. Like, I don't know what other races like would be there. I'm sure there'd be humans. I'm sure there'd be. He's probably the only kobold.
Okay.
And it's probably just a small little shop that's like a two garage door kind of shop
Mhm.
that can take 2 at a time. So it's nothing major.
So probably
I
the
don't know.
owner as the head mechanic, and then two or three other,
Yeah.
you and a couple other folks probably.
Yeah, and Teek's the only kobold, so he's the one who's up in the tiny spots to fix the things that they can't reach.
We need someone that can actually fit in the engine.
Which would be really useful in modern cars.
Yeah.
Some of the older ones were actually relatively easy to work on.
Could you imagine a sprite mechanic? Just
Fantastic.
It would be fantastic.
Now a character to roll if V dies.
So
Yeah, drops off
yeah,
cookies there.
nothing too fancy.
And they want to talk to you about the monsters and all this and that.
Mm.
They've been talking to Tink about that too, but you're prettier.
That's fair. She is prettier than a kobold, probably.
And there's they're mechanics, so it's kind of all day in the shop is just it's all hard ankles.
Yeah. Like, what is Teek's charisma, by the way?
Good question. Where did it go?
It's up at the top. It would be appearance.
It's
Yeah,
one of
yeah.
your.
Appearance is what
Last of the
listed on the
characteristics.
sheets, but
Why do I not see that?
appearance.
Yeah, I don't see appearance.
strength, con,
Underneath
size,
Dex?
int, POW, dex, and then APP.
Oh, 8.
Car's like a pug. Or Cheek's kind of like a pug.
Somebody loves them. It's not me.
Jeez, love you guys too.
Damn.
Oh,
I just picture like those dogs that are like mops.
Well, you can't tell what they look like.
He's-
Too much hair. But
Yeah.
Cheek is like a pug, and that V will shoot anyone that says anything sideways against him.
Mhm.
And then she will, over the course of the rest of the time, try to find performance work and see what, if anything, she can find out about Estella Voss, and if there's anyone that's working for that may be willing to come forward. If maybe they could offer them protection. With what V knows of, like, because you said she knew of Estella Voss. Would
Right,
she
right.
know if Voss's family had any ties to any kind of occult or dark magic or anything like that?
that is not the reputation of the family. No.
Okay. They're bastards, but they don't deal in dark magic.
Yeah, they're known for some. I won't say dirty business dealings. Exactly.
Underhanded.
Maybe just a little bit. They're traditionally the family's been very good at business. Let's put it that way.
I actually have skill in knowledge in business. Could I roll just to see if maybe I get anything from that?
Yeah, go ahead and give me. Excuse me. Go ahead and give me a roll for that.
Nah, it's not happening.
Okay. You've been out of town too long. A lot of the contacts you had in that sector,
Yeah.
Now, as you run around and start reconnecting with these sort of folks, are you specifically trying to stay out of your parents' radar?
Not purposefully. She's basically of the, if they want to talk to me, they need to come to me.
Okay.
Because she's not going to them.
You're not making any effort to get their attention or any effort to talk to them.
Yeah, she's
but you're
not going up and
going to
knocking on
any
the
effort to
door.
hide anything either.
Yeah. She is not going by her maiden or married name.
Yeah, she is
So-
under an assumed, well, just an assumed last name though. Or a
Yeah.
stage name. You know, your rent agreement may have been your actual, whatever
Yeah,
your
her
actual legal name is at the moment.
legal documents would be her legal name.
Yeah. So yeah, you don't have any problem there. I mean, you don't really find anything much out.
Cool.
That is business. If you're asking around,
Maybe if they've just gotten into anything new business-wise.
is there an investigate?
Maybe research. There's not investigate. There's
Yeah, I guess that would be pretty broad.
there's research.
Go ahead and give me a research roll.
Okay.
I was looking for something more socially, but
Fast talk maybe. Insight.
you know what? Just give me a charisma roll. Just give me a charisma roll.
Normal.
Yes, normal side. All right, that's a success. So you ask around. You know, you failed the business roll. You don't really get any specific information about their business. They tend to dabble in a lot of different businesses. They are not doing as well now as they have done in the past. Like they're in no danger of becoming paupers or anything. But Estelle specifically doesn't seem to be overly interested in the business aspect. She has other people that handle that for her.
Okay.
What you pick up just in talking about her, though, is gossip.
I do love me some gossip.
And the gossip says that she may have a fairly regular relationship with the mayor.
Hey, yo.
The married mayor.
Oh my.
Remember this is the 20s.
The
Like
scandal.
it's borderline open secret. But Estelle isn't somebody people really want to mess with, so not a lot of people are real public about it. You don't hear anything about it in the press. It's just a rumor mill.
Then you got Michael, like, literally going after her in court.
And we will get to some fallout from that here momentarily. And
She would make sure to pass that on to Michael next time. Well, she'd make a trip to at least be like, hey, did you know this?
let me jump y'all over to the map just so I can show you.
I will notate that when she tells him.
Sometime over the course of the month, she would tell him, oh, he's got a face for radio.
That is the mayor,
Jeez.
Valerie Lorraine.
Mayor on the take? No way. In the 20s? No way.
No.
He's been mayor for several years now.
I'm flabbergasted and afraid.
He is married to a Eleanor Lorraine. And, like I said, it's the rumor mill. It's like everybody has heard these stories, but
haven't been able to prove it.
Right. There's no proof. He doesn't act strange around her in public. Some people say his wife looks a little strained anytime Estelle's around in public, because Estelle is a donor, has been a donor to his campaign, his political campaigns, and she's a socialite in the city. She moves in those circles, but she's not really somebody that has any noticeable political power herself. She just knows some people. Now, Mr. Anderson, one event that goes down, because you're beat up, but you're doing some work. Mostly at your own office, but you go into the DA's office occasionally.
Yeah.
And as you know, your case against Estelle basically fell through when your only witness, unfortunately died in his sleep. While basically in hiding and kind of under police protection.
Yeah.
No foul play suspected or anything, though.
Of course not.
Definitely no foul play.
The DA,
all those bullets
Latham
in his back were
Carlstrom.
pre-existing condition.
Sorry, what?
Latham Carlstrom. That's the DA's name. Your boss.
Yep.
When he doesn't immediately drop the case, the mayor does come in kind of hooting and hollering and yelling about his harassing of fine upstanding citizens. They go back into his office, shut the door, but everybody, all the junior DAs and stuff, you can still kind of hear that it gets loud in there. Before he eventually goes storming back out. At that point, the DA comes over to you and tells you, we'll have to drop the case. If we still had a witness, if we still had any kind of evidence that I could argue with him,
So, what you're telling me is because the mayor came in yelling at you.
He's been putting more pressure than
someone who is known to contribute to his campaigns monetarily. Who
That's
is the
almost
person
anybody in
that
the
we
city,
are
though.
against.
It's almost anybody.
Yeah.
High up in the city. Look, I don't like it. If we had some evidence, but our only witness is dead and nobody else is talking. If you come up with another witness, if there's other evidence, then we can reopen the case. He won't like it, but I can at least make the argument. If I push it without any evidence, it won't matter because he'll replace me.
How very convenient that our only witness mysteriously up and died in his sleep.
No, it's very inconvenient. You know as well as I do, that woman got to him some kind of way, or somebody from working for that woman got to him some kind of way.
Oh, I know.
If you have another witness come up, I'm not sure we can trust the police. Because we didn't let too many people here in the office even know where we were keeping him. But we did have officers watching him, or watching the apartment he was in.
Was there anyone with him or just him?
It was just him in the apartment. His wife was still staying at their residence.
Well, who delivered food? Who met with him? Granted, I know this is all stuff for law enforcement to do, but
I think I can probably get you those reports, though.
There's things that need answers.
But you know, he
He's
does
been
tell you
free.
law enforcement is not doing a lot of searching for this because no foul play was suspected.
Convenient.
Yeah. You know, but the docs in the morgue were like, you know, I think they were claiming heart failure or something.
Well, she had other servants. Those
Like I said,
that were
if you can find
too
another witness,
scared to speak, but
if you can find us another witness, I will back you on it. But otherwise, I have to tell you not to officially pursue this anymore.
understood.
Good man. And he walks. I mean, he does not look happy about the situation either.
Have a good day, Mr. Carlstrom.
You too, Michael.
Mr. Jason.
Mhm.
You missed a couple weeks for Salvador.
Oh, I haven't. That's right. We haven't even gotten to Salvador, have we?
You
You made the roll with the training. I do apologize. Let's jump down to Salvador before we.
That is okay. I didn't want to interrupt that scene. I just was like, Jason, you didn't get to me.
I messaged him and I was like, did he do anything else? He's like, I'll wait. I was like, oh.
I'm sorry, Jeremy. Other
I'm
than
a
50 hours of
I'm
training,
a consummate professional.
other than 50 hours of training Teak and firearms, and you could squeeze other people in there if anybody else had wanted to. So
Okay.
everybody else was mostly healing up.
Yeah, everyone. I think Salvador offers to everybody, and then most people are just like recovering. So I was like, okay,
maybe later.
Yep. I was actually going to ask if I could.
will say on that note, real quick, Jeremy,
Mhm.
Michael will actually politely decline, just outright.
I will give Michael an ice pack. It's one of those like large ones to put like here, wherever his ribs got cracked.
All right, so Salvador.
So Salvador, I think he spends the first couple of weeks training Teak, and like something clicks in him, and he actually like enjoys that. So he's gonna spend this next little bit looking for like education on educating.
Okay.
He's
He
gonna
doesn't
train to
have a
teach.
person. Yeah, he doesn't have a person like good housekeeping when teaching people how to do a thing.
To the nearby school or college.
Probably the university.
All right.
But yeah. A lot of him with Teak is just like, okay, you've got aiming good. Now you just gotta work on breath control. You only need about a pound of pressure.
Dang.
All right, let's do. So is he like specifically signing up for classes, or is he just looking around for somebody that he thinks could teach him?
I think he's looking for somebody who can teach him how to guide people.
Okay.
He's really careful not to say about what. I think he just wants the basics.
Oh, your sheet's got skills listed alphabetically and
Yes, it does.
that probably will make it easier to find.
Yep.
Give me an ideal roll.
But look,
Up there next to intelligence.
sure. Yep. Normal?
Yeah, normal's fine.
Success.
All right. you realize the sort of things you're liable to teach. I mean, yes, going and actually taking a class on teaching at a college is fine, though they tend to break it down into specific subjects. But the basics would probably still be applicable. Or, given what you probably will probably be teaching, there's bound to be some like old retired drill sergeants.
Fair.
And military types here in town somewhere.
Especially
and you know, you've been in town long enough, you kind of know where the bars are the veterans drink at.
They're all right outside of West Point.
And what is your wealth level?
My wealth is also average.
Okay.
It might be someone who, you know, drilled into Salvador during the war.
I don't know. I think we're running it. I think we've been running into
There's a
enough
lot of
veterans
people.
of Salvador
Yeah,
knows
yeah,
here
yeah.
in town. But
no, that's fair. He knows too.
But yeah, you know, you ask around and you find, you know, old retired guy needs something to do.
Hey.
You know, he was still training folks as the war began, but he was retiring out about the time.
Towards the end.
About the time that the U.S. was actually getting into the war.
Gotcha.
You know, he was old enough, he was not going to be sent over there regardless.
Fair enough.
So he's been retired for a few years.
I think if I feel comfortable around this guy, I will tell them, like, hey, yeah, I'm, you know, certain things that are drilled into me are easier to learn than to teach.
Yeah, oh yeah, you know, this is a drill sergeant, you know.
Yeah.
I keep saying drill sergeant, but he was somebody that did some teaching. Undoubtedly a drill sergeant at one point. Let's see. We'll give him the same teach that I gave the orc driver. Well, I don't know, because this guy would have been taught. Yeah,
this guy definitely would have been taught.
Yeah. Actually, we'll give him a little bit higher. And you know, you have to pay him for his time and all, but
of course,
average, that's not too big a deal. Okay, well, he rolled a 96.
No.
That's not great. But it is not a fumble.
Okay.
Now, how much recovery did Salvador have to do?
0.
That's right.
So he's teaching Teak how to fire, and then
so
that, he's like, oh.
So basically, he spends a week teaching Teak. So if you wanted to keep going, you've got 2 more weeks. You know, you could have this guy teaching you.
I think he would. Because I think just above table, some of the things I wanted to tell Michael have already been said to him by other people. So I'm good on that. I was gonna have a scene with him, but someone already did that. So
no, feel free to do it. I welcome RP. Bring it on.
All I did was drop off books. Go.
Let's go. Bring it on.
But other than I will take another week with this guy. Just trying to learn by osmosis, and then after that, yeah, I'll go find Michael.
Okay.
Probably after he's done like healing up, and just is like sightseeing at this point.
All right, that time he rolled a 78, which is not great, but it is passing. He has an 80 in his teach.
Woo. Add a d6 or roll a d6.
Yes, it's just success.
5.
So your teach is now at a
15.
And what do you do with your last week?
For my last week, I go find Michael.
Okay.
He's probably at this point sightseeing people or looking really weirdly into people. And he probably sees them on a bench or something, just like this at people.
Tell me your secrets, pigeon.
I mean, yeah, he is probably on a bench somewhere.
He
So-
just
So
goes
I would
over
say
and
you
sit-
probably swung by his house / office.
Well,
And Dorothy told him, well, you know, he's been
House
off
and
people
office
watching.
are
He likes this
separate
part.
places.
yeah, Vi would, Vivian would be the only one that knows where his house is.
You're right, because your
So I would've
your
gone by the
office
office.
and your house are two separate places. You're correct. You're right. I wasn't
Yep.
I wasn't thinking
Yeah.
about that when Vivian showed up. But,
I just rolled with it. I'm like, okay.
Yep.
Well, no, it fits because Dorothy knows where he lives. Vivian knows where he lives. The others would not.
So you show up to the office during office hours, and Vivian's like, oh yeah, he took a lunch. He's been going out to the park on his lunches, you know.
Yep.
He's been taking long lunches, but you know, he needs to recover.
I will just like very cavalierly, maybe even breaking concentration, just sit down next to him on the bench.
Hello, Salvador.
Michael, how you feeling?
I've been better.
I saw that wallop. That was a hell of a hit. All right. Well, there's different feelings, right? Like, yeah, that might have cracked a rib, but you've got money. That'll recover. How are you doing in here?
You said a lot of words there.
Yeah, the mental aspect's just as important as physical.
I'm doing well enough. Keeping busy with work more than anything else.
Those things are. I don't know if you know about, you know, strange folk. Strange folk. He's rolling his eyes as he says that culture.
I mean, I got a book, but that's about it.
Those things are straight out of things my mama would tell me. I'm first generation American, for what it's worth.
Okay.
My mama is, if she's still alive, back in Spain. We're old and old-lived, and that is literally the creature verbatim that they would tell me if I don't clean the room. If I don't clean my room, I'm getting that. I'm being visited by that thing.
So, the elven or strange folk in general equivalent of the boogeyman?
Can't speak on other strange folk, but for sure Elven.
I see.
I saw Vivian on the way back. She was also shaken by it.
Because you didn't clean the room, Salvador.
He didn't get hurt, so maybe he did, and the rest of y'all needed to clean up better.
I see. So, your all's great scary monster has now followed you to our world.
It sounds like it. It is that is a terrifying concept because there are other things that I'm sure will have come out since then that will be worse. But I don't remember all my lullabies. But we have been tasked. As much as I do not like being tasked with keeping the peace around here, and I don't know how much of that we can do.
There's a very obvious eye roll as his head just shakes. Right. That.
Yeah. I don't know why I drew the chaos rune and then it's being used everywhere. That is, if I'm not If I'm honest, that's the most rattling part about all of this.
But I rolled that then.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, it also apparently represents entropy. And not just what is apparently chased you from your world into mine.
Entropy. I can work with entropy. I can cause entropy. I can rock with that.
And if it improves your mindset any, considering that is something that you're also concerned with, would it also not be a little on the nose that the lone human out of the group of us drew the rune of man?
They were kind of on the nose. Except for mine, which is baffling.
Well, consider this. Apparently, according to your Auntie Jin, it also translates to mortality. Meaning it might also be my job to keep all of you Nimrods from running into things trying to be big damn heroes. If anything, our last adventure showed us we're not invincible, no matter how much we might wish to be.
No, we're not. I don't need invincibility.
What we need is people to not think like they are and just charging in head first.
Present company included.
Well, when people get injured, even if I don't want to throw myself into the fray, someone has to get them out.
I agree. As
I'm
long
not
as
a
we are
fighter.
in, you don't need to be a fighter.
I know how to defend myself physically if I have to. But it is not something I'm trained in.
You don't need to be a fighter. And if you truly did want to be a fighter, I can show you that. We just need people who are willing to do the right thing.
It is, I suppose you would call it a personal belief of mine. But I will not pick up a firearm.
Okay. I know a little bit of CQC.
Well, I suppose that'll work then.
I'm not great at it, but so I'm not teaching people how to do it, but I get by. Just checking up, making sure you're here. The office said you like to come over here on your lunch break.
Yeah, just thinking. The mayor decided to show up and cause a massive fuss at the DA's office recently.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I was politely told to drop a case against someone that he is fond of.
A corrupt mayor? Here? It's like heavy sarcasm.
Yeah, I know, it's wild. And I thought I got away from that in Chicago.
I thought I got away from it too. But these things tend to follow us.
Much to our chagrin.
Speaking of things that tend to follow you,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
somewhere in y'all's conversation, y'all notice someone walking towards you.
Uh-huh.
He looks rather pissed off. You have a rather
And
pissed
who is
off
this?
halfling walking towards you.
Is it the same halfling
Joy.
that drew on us?
Yes.
The one that Michael doesn't know.
Oh, I was gonna check up on him too, and I forgot.
Mhm.
We just left him in the hotel room.
And that's
Yep.
what he's pissed off about.
Whoopsie.
He
You know
seems,
what? I was-
Michael, he seems to be focused on Salvador.
Mm-hmm.
Just having this conversation. I think I see him out of my periphery. I'm like, oh shit.
What?
This guy's gonna be pissed at us. Give me a sec. And he'll stand up and be like, I the
Zoot?
player forgot this
Was
guy's
it
name.
Zoot?
Mr.
Zoot
Zoot.
Marlowe.
Mr. Marlowe.
I'll say I don't have that note. I haven't met him.
I know.
I mean, I'm about to, but
Write it down. Write it down.
He's sitting there crossed-armed looking up at you. Salvador, wasn't it?
That's me.
I thought you lot were supposed to stay in touch with me, and yet you run off and investigate the murder scene without me.
It kind of happened all at once. We were speaking.
The hotel has a phone.
Who here has a? Do you see a phone around us?
You went with the police. Means you were at the precinct. The precinct has a phone.
Again, this happened immediately. If there was time to get on a phone to tell you, I would have. We are speaking entirely too loud right now in a public place.
Yeah,
Zoot.
about to say you hear Michael, and you're also in public.
I've done worse than he looks around Salvador. I've done worse than this in public.
I sincerely hope not.
There are
Zoot
photos.
Marlowe, Michael Anderson.
He kind of looks at how
Mr.
Anderson's
Marlowe?
dressed.
May I
I
help
assume
you?
you're in like the business.
Well, I'm on lunch right now, but
But Salvador, give me a fast talk to see if you can calm him down.
Yeah.
If you want to calm him down. If you don't want to calm him down, you don't have to.
Can I have made it a persuade? Not necessarily. I'm not lying to him. I'm just telling him
That's
the
true.
truth.
That's true. That persuades fair enough.
I was gonna say command, but it's not. He's not really being commandeering on the situation. Success.
hey,
All right. You don't think he's going to pull on you? Well, he probably
He
was going to
pulls
draw
on me.
regardless. He probably wasn't going to draw on
I
you
was-
regardless, but
I'll draw right back on him.
he's probably not going to haul back and punch you.
Fair
Right
enough.
in the shins.
No, he's never mind.
But he is rather upset. You know, Mickey was a buddy he is. So
I understand that you're upset. You know, I didn't really know Mickey. He seems to be really well liked around here. But we were literally at the precinct, and then they were like, "Hey, there's a slaughterhouse," and then we left kind of immediately after. There was no there wasn't really a time to breathe.
And the 3 weeks since then.
Do you see his
Recovering.
you see? Yeah, I motion to Michael's I don't know if he's wearing bandages.
Michael chimes in after that. Recovering.
He looks closer at you now. And he can kind of spot the bulge of bandages and stuff.
Yeah.
And then he looks at Salvador, and Salvador looks untouched.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with the brew?
Yeah, weren't they like goat and cow headed or something? Yeah.
They were
Monsters from the old world.
rather formidable. So I'm tending to all
Yeah.
of my friends and making sure they are okay.
Your old world decided to pay a visit to mine, and then slam me into a wall with a club.
Hey, buddy, I was born here too. I swear, big as the world is, and all the humans still want to whine like we're taking up that much space.
Was there anything else to do? Did you just need to be upset?
Yeah, actually, he just happened to spot you because he really wasn't sure how to get in touch with any of the rest of you.
What were you saying, Michael?
No, Michael, he looks like, well, I suppose it's less of a thing for you. You take up a lot less room than the rest of us.
I will start holding Zoot back.
Listen here, Anderson.
I start.
Now,
I'll whisper at him, "You can't punch a lawyer. You might want to. You
You
can't.
totally can.
I've done it before.
you-
I'm quite confident
you-
I can.
And then continue.
Now, Michael.
Mm-hmm.
When Michael moved to Chicago or moved from Chicago here.
Yep.
Did he change his name at all, or is he still just using his given name?
He's still using his given name. He's not really hiding it. But he is also a ways away from his family.
But anyway, as it goes, called you by name, he actually stops for a second. You sound like you're from Chicago.
Used to live there.
I'm familiar with an Anderson family in Chicago.
That doesn't surprise me. They get around,
You any relation?
unfortunately.
I think Salvador looks back at Michael like, huh?
And Marlo looks at Salvador. Be careful around this one. The Andersons in Chicago, they're in some weird crap.
I mean, I just shot like 6 goat people, so
Okay, you may be able to handle weird then.
Sir, I am the weird.
But even Capone was actually.
Capone's around, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is actually when he's probably most active.
Yep.
Because it's 25. It'd be a couple of years before they bust him.
Yep.
Yeah.
So this is probably him at his peak.
Pay your taxes, people.
But but he tells you, Capone steps lightly around him, so. Him and was it Bugsy that Capone was always feuding with? Anyway, he lets you know the other families in Chicago step lightly around him. They got a reputation.
Good to know. This one still seems to be a good egg, but
he looks less than
I'll take that under
convinced.
advisement. I'll take that under advisement.
If you feel compelled to do what your nosy self is probably going to do, you can check with the DA's office. That's where I work.
Well, that's a convenient place for a crime family to put somebody.
Also a convenient place for someone working to keep crime out of the city.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd understand if that fact flies a little over your head.
But you've been doing a bang-up job. Let me tell you, I've been roaming around this city for a month now. Obviously, you've done a bang-up job of keeping crime in.
Well, I imagine it's hard to see from down there.
Jesus Christ.
I never punched a kid, but no.
Look, he's going to jump over me and punch you. You've got to stop with the short man thing.
Then maybe he can stop judging me on what my family used to do.
Used to do?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
you ain't
not
been
with
to
them
Chicago
anymore.
lately.
I've been living here for 15 years. 16 now, actually.
That probably explains why I don't know you. I didn't really start tangling. I really didn't start tangling with the Andersons till about 7 back.
Well, then you're lucky.
Oh yeah, I am still walking.
I think Salvador tries to do a very abrupt subject change to be like, look, the next time we get something, I'll, and he actually looks at Michael, looks down at Zoot and goes, actually, and he pulls out his little sketch journal, and he's like, that was there. He shows him the circle.
The same one. It's almost the same one we found in Mickey's notes.
Yeah.
And he pulls out his own pad and starts making a copy of it.
Mm-hmm.
I take a look at it. Can I make an occult roll to see if I can spot anything with that circle? Anything that'd stand out?
Well, you were at the.
But I never got to see it.
I wiped it before they could see it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Michael never got the chance to see it because he was, still recovering from being crit into a wall.
Yeah, give me an occult roll then.
Yeah, and he'll show it to Michael.
Success.
Hey,
So you recognize the Chaos Rune, and let's see. The Chaos Rune is there. The Beast Rune is there.
Mhm.
A few others. I don't have the entire circle design.
Mhm.
It resembles examples you've seen of like summoning circles.
Let me see that.
Because plenty of magician types can summon like elemental spirits and stuff.
Like he actually like physically takes the notebook and goes to sit back down on the bench. The wind's like.
all right then.
Oh yeah, the apple falls way far from the tree.
Was that hand sign a thing during the 20s?
I have no
I
idea.
think it's more of this.
um. No, but he's. Turns it a little bit, takes another look. It was a summoning circle.
Well, that's a good thing. I knew it was a damn summoning circle. Glad I got rid of it.
Because there's the Rune of Chaos. The Beast Rune is here. And by its placement, it looks like it's linked to the Chaos Rune and that.
Salvador, Zoots just give it just dead staring at Michael.
Yeah. It was a summoning circle of some description.
He takes his notebook back. He's like, well, it's a good thing I destroyed it.
Probably.
If you come across any more of those, that's going to be the first job that we do. Just get rid of it.
You need to be careful about how you do that, though. Depending on how they're crafted, a disruption might cause a cascade, which could be more disastrous than helpful.
Let me see if I got this straight, fellas. Somebody intentionally brought chaos here.
Seems it.
Yeah.
On more than one occasion, it seems.
Has that, hold on, I have to scroll. What was that family's name?
Corona.
That's it. Yeah, one of the members of the Corona family.
Zoot speaks it. Reggie Corona. That was the body that was found at the slaughterhouse. It's in the papers.
I would explain
I think his funeral's in a few days.
I haven't really seen the paper lately. I've been more dealing with the mayor deciding to breathe down the DA's neck about dropping a criminal case.
Oh, the Voss case?
Yeah, that one.
It was in the paper that the case got dropped.
Yeah, because the witness just mysteriously died in their sleep. And if you believe that, I got some swampland to sell you.
Nah, we have those kind of mysterious deaths in Chicago all the time. Scuttlebutt is that she snuggles with the mayor when his wife's not around.
Fairly obvious.
This is my surprised face.
So I have no clue how to spell Zoot's name. I'm just doing Z-O-O-T.
Z-O-O-T.
That's Zoot.
Okay, fair enough.
That's how he spells his name. But so
So
trying to think if there's anything else Zoot would. Since you partially calmed him down, and then he got distracted by
he got
recognizing
distracted by the
Anderson name.
case.
Yeah, and then the work. I was thinking about heading back to Chicago, but now I'm wondering if I should stay around here.
I think it's probably best that you do. Let you stay here, rather. Could use a, inquisitive sort of person.
You gonna keep me in the loop this time?
Somebody who didn't draw one of the runes that we drew, so that we have to be closely organized. But yes, I will do my best to keep you in the loop. I do not have a phone in my apartment, but if I have to run to the police station next time, I will.
Yeah, there's payphones at some businesses and stuff by this point. So.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough, you leave a message at the desk of his hotel. He doesn't know how long he can stay. He does have to go back. He got a job.
Which hotel is that?
He gives you the name and the number again.
Okay.
Don't forget this time.
Do my best. And he'll shake on it.
All right. They shake and Zoot heads off.
Well, that's a charming fellow you all found.
Yeah, he didn't draw on us, which is the best part. He didn't draw on us, so that was a interaction well made, well had.
You saying that means that he's drawn on you before.
That is what I am saying. Yes.
I'm assuming this was during your all's ill-advised foray into grand larceny.
Necessary foray, yes.
Right.
If a non-strange folk gets to it before we do, they're gonna just pick up a bunch of stuff and not know what it means, and just be like, "Oh, these guys are crazies," and ship it off.
You do know even humans are well aware that magic is a thing, right?
Yeah, but they are, like you, apparently well hidden within your sanctums.
Right.
Your
Well,
average beat cop isn't going to give a shit, is all I'm saying.
Well, I don't know about you, but I need to get back to the office. He levers himself up with it.
I'm going to shoulder him up.
Yeah. Thanks.
Come on. Okay, I'm walking you there, and I've got to go see I'm going to go see the charming cop officer, Kevin? Why is Kevin Jacob? Why is Kevin in the forefront of my mind?
I'm not sure. Maybe you actually got hit in the head when we were fighting the brew.
Loose debris. Anyway, and he'll walk.
Yes, I'm making
Michael.
that canon.
Yes.
I'm rolling with it.
Yep. And then he'll walk Michael to his office, and then he'll head over. And we don't have to do the draw this out, but he's gonna give Officer Jacob a box of these cinnamon. They're like gingerbread cookies, but they're larger and they're a little thicker and they're pig shaped.
Okay.
They're from the old world, or that's what Ma says.
He's an elf. He's seen these things before.
Yeah.
You're in the 4th week, but it's by this point he's fairly accepting of what's happened.
Yep.
So he'll chew the fat with you. Let's jump over to George and Charlie.
Yep.
I will be right back.
All right. So George, you'd gotten the notice. The Auntie Jen wanted to talk to you. Charlie, you had the letter from Auntie Jen. And finally, an off day. Are either of you interested in seeing what she wanted? Keeping in mind that she's, fairly well respected in the town, was involved with the strangeness New Year's Eve.
Yeah, sure. Let's see what old auntie needs to say.
Okay. What about you, Charlie?
Yeah.
All right. All right, Charlie. You arrive at Annie Jen's house. Knock on the door. And she lives in not a mansion, but it's a pretty nice house, inside town. A lady answers the door, a maid, a cook, something, someone that works for Jen and looks after her, clearly.
Mhm.
Oh, yes, miss. How can I help you?
Oh, I got word that Auntie Jen had wanted to speak to me.
Oh, you must be Miss O'Brien.
Yes.
Yes, please come in. And she takes you in and sits you down in the, probably not the dining room, but some smaller little breakfast nook or, some little area like that. I'll be right back. And she walks upstairs, comes back a couple minutes later. Tells you Auntie Jen's on her way down. Can she get you something to eat, something to drink? She can put some tea on.
Tea sounds good.
Excellent. She goes off to that. A little bit later, a very old elven lady comes in. Let me find Auntie Jen's art. And I'll throw that out where you can see it. So there is Auntie Jen. That was specifically her at the party. So she's not dressed quite as fancy, but...
Mm-hmm.
But, elven, very old.
Charlie would get up and be like, "Oh, hi, Auntie Jen. How are you doing this evening?"
Oh, I'm doing quite well. I'm glad you finally able to make it down.
You know how it can be some days, just work, work, work.
Yes, I'd heard from someone that your hospital was a little short-staffed at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Have you been keeping up with the news?
When I have the time to, I try to.
The monsters. I'm speaking of the monsters.
Yes.
The people
Had
involved in that, not the police officers, but the other people involved in that were they were the other people that were at the party and were with us when we discovered Mickey's body, or when we went to look for Mickey's body. I'm sure you heard that there are new Beorn in town, that we drew the runes that night. But we seem to be short some people. And I've gone around to everybody else that was in the, everybody else that I think was in the vicinity at the time that night that hadn't already tried drawing a stone. But there was you and the dwarven fellow that was passing out the drinks. The one that stayed with that you and he watched over the body.
Yes.
I've been trying to track the two of you down, and she pulls out a leather pouch from her belt. And when she sets it down, you can tell it sounds like there's stones inside it. Do be a dear and reach into this bag and pull out a stone, please.
Charlie will go and reach into the bag to pull out a stone.
All right, let's see. All right, if you look on the map, I am going to drop a card. So you pull out a small black stone, and etched on it is that symbol.
Okay.
She looks at it and goes, the rune of mastery. Very interesting. I've been trying to figure out what the runes the others drew meant. But it's like having the words to a sentence, and you're trying to put together what the sentence is supposed to say. And of course, I've been missing 2 of the words as well.
Yeah.
A little more complicated than that makes it sound, but considering the runes often have multiple meanings.
Mm-hmm.
And Sri Silver Patch was, and drawing a black stone means that you've been chosen. Congratulations.
Chosen for what?
To be one of the Beorn. Heroes, people of valor.
Ah.
To defend the strange folks. And as an elf, you know this has been a long time tradition. More common over in Europe when the strange folk came. It's not as common in America. But it was kind of groups to watch after, after all the people of previous centuries were not as not fond as they may be of strange folk now. They were a lot more hostile back in the day. We'll need to introduce you to everyone else. George, about this time is when you're arriving. I believe it's the truck you drive around.
Yeah, just an old pickup.
Okay. Well, it'd be old now, but it would be old then.
Actually, I was about to say that probably wouldn't be that old.
It's a current pickup.
You had a pickup that was kind of a variant, not quite, but kind of a variant of a Model T. So that one would probably be considered older.
Yeah.
Nothing was considered vintage yet, though.
I mean, I need to go see a particular soul, see if I can get it turned into a Model T.
You don't want a Model T, you'll be hand cranking it.
But
Now, what you mean? We'll just make the fuel source moonshine piss on gas.
Hate that.
Give a different combustion to that engine.
Well, car fuels were a lot more varied back then, so some of them even used coal.
Oh God.
So anyway, you check the address and it's the right place. Knock on the door. A lady answers. Yes, sir. What can I do for you?
But I say, there we go. He would take off his hat and be like, right, I'm here to see, I do believe it's Auntie Jin, they told me.
Are you George Stone?
Aye, that'd be me.
Oh, yes, please, come in. She already has another guest, but you're here on much the same business.
Alright.
So she walks into the little tea room. And you see a very old elven lady, the picture I showed earlier. And a younger one. Auntie Jen turns and looks at you as you walk in. Oh, Mr. Stone, it is good to see you again. Please have a seat. I'm sure you've been keeping up. I'm sure you've heard the news
Aye,
that chaos
when I
has
get
arrived in
get
town.
the weekly paper.
And you may have heard or may not have heard. I know when I spoke to Mr. Wolf, he said you lived outside of town. He would not give me the address, but he offered to. I assume he passed the message that I left him.
Oh, aye, he did.
Well, then you know that we have chosen Beorn. They were involved at the slaughterhouse, but we've been short. There should have been more than were drawn the first night. Miss O'Brien here, and you would recognize her as, oh yeah, she was the one that, the two of you were the ones Andy Jen had asked to watch the body until the police got there. Yeah, so so you'd recognize her nowhere in passing at least. But she's already come and drawn a stone. She picks up the little sack of stones and shakes them. Would you be so kind as to draw one out of the bag?
Oh, aye, of course. And he'll take his hand. You'll probably hear like the runes spit kind of just being moved around as his little meaty paws are trying to grab a stone and
Yeah,
just
and
kind of.
they're just
quickly.
little stones, but yeah.
And he'll just pluck one up.
It's black. Which, you're familiar enough with the tradition that the black stones are what chooses. Where the other stones in the bag would be white. And let me find. And that is the symbol etched on your stone. She tells you that is the Earth Stone.
He chuckles. Aye, that would be fitting for me.
A little on the nose. But then the only human in your group drew the rune of man, so.
He smiles a little bit as he kind of like just studies the stone a little bit. Like, well, granted, it has more than one meaning for me, being a farmer.
This is true. And we call it Earth, but we probably call it something different in the Forgotten World. But it means the firmament, the world. We need to get you introduced to everyone else. And she's looking at both of you. I thank you both for being so cooperative. There may not be safety in what you'll have to do. But if ever there was a time the people of this city need champions to watch over them, it will be now. The human authorities are iffy about protecting us in the best of times. And if chaos has found us, they're not going to have any clue what to do. So he takes both of your hands and so thank you.
He smiles. No problem. To be fair, I defended folks once before. I'm sure I can do it again.
Oh, I'm being a terrible host. Can I get you something to eat or something to drink? We have some tea, fresh tea.
Well, why not? It might be a bit weaker than I'm used to. I'm used to more coffee, but no point in making you brew something different. I'll have some.
Oh, coffee's no problem. She calls on her little servant lady to brew him up some coffee. And she asks you how you take your coffee.
Just 3. You don't have to add nothing to it.
She looks kind of like, oh, black coffee. That's the
Demon
servant
spawn.
lady, not any gin. But please allow me to make a
I mean,
phone
to be
call.
it's like, well, to be fair, black coffee tends to help you a wee bit better after you've been drunk a few hours. But regardless,
Uh, let's see, who would she try to call? I believe she had one of Mr. Anderson's cards.
Yes.
I'm not sure if she had the number for anybody else or not.
I mean, you probably know about Teak, but I don't know if she'd take her vehicle if she had a vehicle or a servant had a vehicle to him or not. So
So she calls Mr. Anderson's office. Dorothy answers the phone.
Yeah.
She identifies herself, and Dorothy remembers her, of course. Dorothy drew a stone, just wasn't, it was a white stone, so she's not involved. So there's a knock on your door, Michael, and then without waiting for you to say anything, she cracks the door open, sticks her head in.
Yes, Dorothy.
A phone call for you on line 1. It's Auntie Jen, from New Year's.
Of course it is. All right, I'll take it here.
All right, she sends the call back to you. Hello, Mr. Anderson.
Ma'am?
I finally managed to get in touch with the 2 people from New Year's that I've been trying to find. One of them lives outside of town, and the other one apparently has been very busy at the hospital.
I see.
They have both drawn stones. So I felt introductions should be made.
Very well. And when will this be taking place?
Oh, you're the only one I can readily get in touch with. So whenever it's convenient for you. Mr. Stone, how long are you going to be in town?
I mean, I can stay in town as long as you need me to.
All right. Mr. Stone says he can stay in town for some time if needed. He lives on a farm outside of town.
I see. Well, I have some work to finish today, but I can come by after I get today's work done.
Oh, that would be fine. If they're willing, they can certainly wait here until then. Are you able to get in touch with the rest?
Well, not offhand, no. So they do like to just suddenly drop by my law office from time to time.
Well, I could let you know where they know they can find you. She knows where the little fellow works.
I know where Teak works.
So she can probably send a message there. Now, young Salvador and Mr. Leopold, she's not entirely certain how to get in touch with them. Though Teak drove them home, so perhaps Teak would. If I get in touch with Teak, perhaps Teak knows where they are. And basically, she tries to work out a time that evening. Basically everybody comes by for supper, sort of thing.
Well, I can get in touch with Vivian, and I guess we can find some time to all get acquainted this evening.
Excellent, excellent. I know this must seem strange to you, but being, not of our people, though hardly the first human to have drawn a stone, but I feel with the sort of creatures that have been seen that it's very important that we have a firm group to help the strange folk.
You mean the brew?
Yes, hopefully that's all that has made it across.
Well, considering there was a summoning circle in that building, I suppose we can hope.
We need to find. Well, she doesn't say we. Yeah, whoever was behind that needs to be found and dealt with.
That's all. I will get things into order.
Oh, of course, Mr. Anderson. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. Have a good evening.
Yeah, so we're at 9:30, so we'll start to wrap up here. But so Charlie and George are basically invited to stay with with Auntie Jen. Obviously, if you have something to do, you can run off and do it and come back. She's setting up a supper, so you can meet everyone. And she gets on the phone and she calls. She finds the phone number for Teak's shop. She calls and leaves a message there.
He could pick up go pick people up.
So you get that organized. George, while y'all are waiting around, you have your coffee. Well, the one of the later editions for the paper comes out, and there's an article about just a little short article, but apparently there was a gunfight between some orcs and some dwarves. And it talks about the working theory is that it was two of the organized crime groups in town coming into conflict, and how it had been relatively quiet between some of the groups, quiet as far as just open fighting in the streets. This is not well, it's not something you would have expected because you were just talking to Mason Wolf earlier, and he didn't mention anything about any sudden violence. And you look at the time, and it's happened basically as you've been running around today. But it is not a good sign. An open gang war is not good for business or people's health.
No, especially not between those two.
And they've had some tangles before, but like I said, everybody kind of had established territories. But maybe somebody's trying to make a move. I'm sure it's nothing that your group will have to worry about.
Not even a little bit.
You say this now.
But
This definitely isn't a future plot point.
not at all. So we'll be dealing with this plot point next week. This is not a lingering plot point, maybe. But anyway, I hope y'all had fun. Filling in the downtime, dealing with some NPCs. almost meeting the rest of the party.
We have.
Almost.
We're in the room. We're in the room.
You're driving. You're on your way. But we'll pick up with that next week. So I hope y'all had fun. I enjoyed running. Hope anybody that came by and watched enjoyed it. Hope you join us next week. Again, I was your storyteller for the evening, Jason, and with me has been Sarah as Vivian, Patrick as Leo, Rappy as Charlie, Duba as George, Jeremy as Salvador, Eric as Michael, and Carr as Teak. And we will see y'all next time.
Bye-bye.
Later.
Good night, everybody.
And heed the sign. Abomination, Holly's light. For in the night the shadows grow, and take with them your troubles.